Hi everyone, I am Nikki. Thank you so much for joining me back here at my channel. Today I am joined with my sister DesiRae and we are going to give you a review of the movie Hostiles.
Positive representations, fighting native appropriation. Learn to love yourself in everything you do, 'cause you're amazing. Redstreak girl.
Okay, so today we are going to give a review of the movie Hostiles. This review will provide spoilers, so if you have not seen the movie yet and don't want spoilers, go ahead and pause now.
And come back later.
Written and directed by Scott Cooper, Hostiles takes place in 1892 and tells the story of an army captain, Christian Bale, played by Christian Bale, who reluctantly agrees to escort a dying Cheyenne chief, played by Wes Studi, and his family back to tribal lands. On the journey, they meet a widow, played by Rosamund Pike, whose family was murdered on the plains, and offer their help. As the former rivals make their way from an isolated army outpost in New Mexico to the grasslands of Montana, their relationship moves from antagonism to compassion, demonstrating humans' capacity for change. So that's just a quick overview of what the story is about. Like I said, that's provided on Hostiles movie website. I did think the movie was entertaining overall, but I definitely do have my concerns about the movie.
The first scene, I was actually really shocked, which I think is the purpose of those first few scenes, is to, shock.
There is a settler family that's living in this valley. They kind of see coming from the horizon some indigenous people coming in on horses.
Oh, it was very emotional. This settler family got murdered, I suppose, by these marauding Indians. So basically that whole cowboy Indians scenario, and that was kind of bothering me, but I also know it's a movie, so it's fiction. I mean, and at some level it's not fiction, because these sort of scenarios did play out sometime in our history.
Christian Bale is playing Captain Joseph J. Blocker, and he's tasked with taking Chief Yellowhawk, who's played by Wes Studi, and Chief Yellowhawk's family from this army outpost in New Mexico back to their tribal homelands in the northern parts of the United States, I believe Montana. Captain Joseph Blocker is really angry. He has a really deep hate for the Native American people. So that kind of plays out throughout the movie, and so you sort of see Christian Bale's character have that change in mentality from one point possibly really hating American Indians.
Well, in the movie,
in the movie
they portrayed his character to actually murder and decapitate and just absolutely desecrate a human body. And in the movie they discussed that he did that because they were purely Indians. So I mean, it wasn't just a benign hate. This was the kind of hate that you go out and you you massacre whole towns.
He also has his sergeant, who's played by Rory Cochrane, Sergeant Thomas Metz. This particular sergeant, you can tell throughout the very beginning of the movie that he's struggling, that he's uneasy with the type of life that he's been leading up to this point in time. And he's almost the catalyst for Captain Blocker in making this change from thinking about Indians as being maybe low level and worthless.
Subhuman.
At one point in time in the movie, in fact, Sergeant Thomas Metz, he's at a breaking point, and the group is camping out, and it looks like it visually looks like as if these may be his last hours potentially, and he walks up to Chief Yellowhawk and Chief Yellowhawk's family, and he provides what looks to be a tobacco, and he apologizes and he asks for forgiveness for his actions. I personally thought that was a really emotional part of the movie because...
Did you cry?
Yeah, I did cry.
I didn't cry.
I cried because, I think it really showed kind of a human element.
My favorite thing about the movie was that Christian Bale's character, he actually came to have, a relationship with the people that he hated. He hated Indians. That's what the first few scenes show, is that he absolutely despised Indians. But by the end of the movie, I love the character development on how he moved from that absolute hate to, actually caring for what happens to, the Native American tribes.
Towards the very end of the movie, Chief Yellowhawk starts to get really, really sick, and his health is in major decline. And that's actually the reason why the U.S. Army in this movie chose to let him return back to his homeland, is because he is dying. I thought it was very powerful that this movie wanted to be able to depict Native American peoples returning to their homelands, even though, this was at the Chief Yellowhawk's dying last moments. What we see in the movie at the very, very end point where Chief Yellowhawk dies is they set up the secret burial grounds for him, and they're actually interrupted by
the landowner.
So
even though that this was a traditional burial grounds or traditional homelands, it's no longer in legal sense their property. And so this guy was upset that these Indians came back and were using his land without his permission, and he wanted to, he
wanted them gone.
Yeah.
Captain Joseph Blocker's like, well, no, this is their...
Yeah, this is my favorite part of the movie.
This is their land. These are their homelands. You can't just tell them to go.
I wasn't expecting what happened. This guy, Captain Blocker, respected the Indian traditions. In Native American culture, your religion, your culture, and your way of life are all intertwined. And so what I appreciate was that Captain Blocker was like, hey, this is his burial grounds, and I'm going to protect him to get him where he needs to be for whatever cultural reason or spiritual reason. And then he just, kills everyone.
Yeah, he murders the settlers.
We're not supporting murdering or killing.
No. But
the movie was great. Yeah, basically everyone's dead. The only people that survive are Christian Bale,
Rosamund Pike,
and then the grandson.
Yeah, Chief Yellowhawk's grandson. So yeah, the only people who are alive are Captain Joseph Blocker, Rosalie Quaid, and Chief Yellowhawk's grandson. And so the three of them. And then the next thing that we know is, they're standing on a train platform, and Captain Blocker is supposed to be heading off to retirement or something. But they're supposed to be going in separate directions. And at the last moment, Captain Blocker decides that he wants to join them.
He's like, wait a minute.
Be like a family together.
Wait a minute. I think I fell in love with this person.
But, there was something really, really problematic about the very ending scene, and what happened really did happen in real life, where
this is what happened. This brown kid's really cute, and I think I could love him because he's cute, and he's got no one else, I think. So I think I'm gonna take him and give him the best life that he has, and then they grow up and they're like, wait a minute, who am I? I know I'm Cheyenne, but I don't know my way of life, and I don't know my family anymore. And then we've got Ikwa.
So there was this problem at the very end of the movie where Rosalie Quay believes, that having just witnessed that his immediate family, his father, his aunt, his grandfather, they've all passed away. So there's some belief that he may potentially not have any other family members to care for him.
So maybe.
So let's finish this. And so then the movie ends with them leaving on the train together.
Yeah. Okay. So I can understand why Rosalie Quaid could possibly have that thought. But in the beginning of the movie, when the general is telling Captain Blocker to take the, Chief Yellowhawk back up to his home, he says, let's send him home to his family. And it's just really sad that this fictional boy doesn't get reunited with his family.
Yeah, doesn't get reunited with his family, whatever kind of aspect that is, his extended family, or even that he doesn't even get reunited with his community.
Yeah,
and that he's being plucked away from his culture.
He's gonna grow up completely not knowing anything about his culture,
which is really sad. But you know, it's a movie. Historically, it probably happened. It most likely played out this way.
Well, if not that, he would end up in a boarding school anyway.
I was a little bit bummed that the Native American women in this movie...
They all died!
Well, yeah, they all died. But they also didn't have very many speaking spots.
No, they didn't.
There's Adam Beach's wife, I believe, Elk Woman, who's played by Corianne Kilcher.
Didn't West Duty have, like, a daughter?
Oh, yes, and West Duty had a daughter. And I'm not sure what her character is or who she's played by, which is sad. That means there were only 2 Native American women in the whole movie. And one of them, I can't even remember who her character is or her name. I think the lines that these 2 Native American women had were basically at the interaction of handing a set of clothing over to Rosalie Quaid.
Cooking, cleaning, helping Rosalie Quaid, getting raped, getting killed.
Yep. Which I think is also an issue. But, you know, there definitely needs to be many more scenes which include Native American women talking and doing things and being seen in a much more positive light, and having larger character developments, because that definitely was not seen.
You're talking about future movies.
Future movies, yeah. There were some things in the movie, though, that, you know, were said that I think were definitely statements that the director and whoever, you know, wrote the movie made, that pointed out some things that are very, very relevant to the Native American landscape in the United States. One of the issues that I think is that at some point in time very early on in the movie, when the army is discussing American Indians and the status of American Indians in the United States and the Indian problem, they refer to the Native American people as Redskins. And what we do know is that it is very true. There are government documents that have shown that Native Americans were referred to as Redskins. And what's happening right now has been this fight for Native Americans to get rid of the Washington NFL team's name and their mascot, their logo. You know, I thought that was some type of commentary or statement that was being made in the movie to kind of make that connection that, you know, historically, this is the way that, not just historically, but also now that, you know, this word, Redskin, is really not a good word.
Wait, so they actually said that word in the movie?
Yeah, they said in the movie.
Oh.
There are other things definitely that, you know, come out of this movie that I think are very, very relevant today. We talked about the grandson, Chief Yellowhawk's grandson, being removed from his community. That has a lot of implications to the Indian Child Welfare Act, and what we're seeing now in Indian country today are a number of different cases where American Indian youth are, you know, being removed and placed in non-native foster homes, and the fight that tribes and their family members are taking to have those kids returned and reunited with their family. That's currently happening today as well.
Well, the reason why we're still fighting this is because people, I don't know, still think that Indians can't take care for their own kids. Mm-hmm. That non-Indians can provide for Indian children better than their own family. There's actual people that, you know, still take that stance.
This movie is definitely heavy packed. There's a lot of...
Well, I think we analyzed it more than the regular moviegoer.
Or even the regular movie critic. Overall, I'd say go and see the movie with a grain of salt.
That's because this movie is still depicting the same old.
Yes.
It's still the same old. They're not depicting, you know, Indian people in their modern way of life. They're not depicting Indians as modern living society in the United States. They're depicting a historical Indian that is gone, and in a way Hollywood is saying we don't want to leave that Indian like, you know, in the past. We want to keep that Indian around for whatever reason. And one of the things, if you're out there and you want to be a movie producer or a, you know, a writer, write those stories, because I mean, we're all consumers here, and I would go out and watch it because I am dying for something new, instead of these old West movies.
Would you recommend this movie to a friend?
Yes, I have, and my friend that I recommended to, she said it was way too emotional for her to watch. She saw the preview and thought, too emotional, which it is. It is very emotional.
I've made the recommendation to other people to go watch the movie. I usually prefaced by saying, you know, be prepared that this is definitely a historically inspired movie dealing with a Western and relationships between American Indians and the U.S. Army. Okay, so thank you guys so much for joining us. If you've gone and seen the movie, I would really love to read your comments, so comment below. And don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.